awesome pipeline. It's been a consistent one, and they have had a couple pretty good players. Haven't had that home run star guy yet, but we'll see. Maybe Dan Russell can give him a little bit more clout there. But I just thought it was interesting because I had kind of known that Dan Russell was going to be the guy to complete Danny Sprinkle's first staff at Montana State. And I thought that the main carrot that came with it was Isaac Bonton coming back to Montana State. But, you don't want to ever speculate too much. But to me, it's always tenuous to recruit a kid that's been at a ton of schools like Isaac Bonton has. Right. He went to 3 different high schools, and then now he's at his 3rd different college.
Yep.
And, I don't know if you necessarily even need to go all the way down into personality or anything like that. It just seems like he has a hard time staying committed to a place he's at and a hard time making up his mind. Right. So, and honestly, Isaac Bonton individually is a tremendously talented player. He is. I mean, he's the Oregon 5A Player of the Year. But I also think it's just like we talk about with the NBA, with a team like the Sixers. When you got too many guys that need the ball in their hands, it makes it so that the guys that don't have the ball in their hands, not very good. And this next year, Montana State's going to have Harold Frey. I don't know if they necessarily need an ISO scorer like Isaac Bonton. For those who didn't see him play, he only played, I think, 13 games at Montana State. But for those who didn't see him play, he's an isolation scorer. He's a poor man's Kyrie Irving. I mean, obviously, he's not Kyrie Irving, but he's like that, where he can create off the dribble, he can finish in the lane. He's got it at all 3 levels, but he needs the ball. He can't really be a facilitator or a 2-guard or a shooter or anything like that. He needs the ball. So not getting him, obviously, I mean, he would have helped them, but I don't think it's that big of a loss.
Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and now YouTube. That's right. YouTube it. All right. Well, let's see. They get their man, at least Danny Sprinkle gets his man in terms of the coach, if not the player, and maybe that's okay. Anyways, Dan Russell, though, final coach on the staff there at Montana State. As for the University of Montana, a couple of player announcements coming down the pike today. One is that they've gotten a commitment from Kent Ridge High School forward Jet Briscoe. It came in today around noon. He's a 6'5" forward. Kent Ridge High School, one of, a cluster of Kent high schools there. If you're not familiar with Kent, it's basically on the south end of Lake Washington. It's very near SeaTac Airport, but it's in the Seattle-Tacoma, Western Washington area. Obviously, some very good players, very good basketball coming out of there all the time, and a place that Travis DeCure has a ton of history, a lot of roots, and so Jet Briscoe committing today, and then also Jeff Goodman reporting that Jashir Hardenett will graduate transfer to Montana from BYU. So he, obviously finishing up school there, looking for a place to go for his final year. Grad transfers, again, don't have to sit out, so he would be, a 1-year but a plug-and-play guy. And I think this is exactly the sort of thing. I know nothing about Jashir Hardenett, nothing whatsoever, okay? But I will say that when you look at the class that just graduated from the University of Montana and you look at the guys that are there, you say you got a really good nucleus, but that can't be all. And there's a couple kids that were here last year, that redshirted that you thought, will probably be available for the University of Montana. But also, and we talked about this yesterday, the climate is that you anticipate getting and really need to get transfers that are like, this guy's going to play. And grad transfers, they're not coming to sit, and presumably, who knows what the situation is or whatever, but coaches want grad transfers to play. They're not coming here to give a look in practice and so forth. So anyway, an interesting development there. We'll certainly find out more. I know that you know a little bit about this, Colton.
Yeah, so Jeff Goodman, it was a busy day for Grizz Hoops because he had Jet Briscoe commit around noon. He's a 6'5" forward, like you said. And then about an hour later, this news came down, and Andrew Houghton from SkylineSportsMT.com, who covers the Grizz for us at Skyline Sports, he was exchanging a couple tweets with Brett Hine. Brett Hine is the sports editor at the Ogden Standard-Examiner, mainly covers Weber State, but also has a pretty good gauge on BYU, obviously, because Provo's just right down the road. And they had a little exchange, and Brett kind of shed some light on why Hardnett only played in about a third of the games last year.
Yeah.
Hardnett missed most of last season after a disagreement with coaches resulted in him punching a wall and breaking his hand. He left the program shortly after that. So it sounds like he just needed a fresh start. I don't necessarily think that means he's a bad kid or anything like that. I think he just needed a fresh start. And this gives the Grizz a guy that, he scored 10 points per game in this last year in a good league. He scored 24 points against Weber State, so that's like the easiest comp. He did do well against Weber State, although BYU lost to Weber State this last year. But this is interesting because you think about who the Grizz have returning, and they actually have a fair amount of front court depth for the first time in a while when you talk about Jared Samuelson entering as a grad transfer, Tony Miller coming off of a red shirt, Yagi Selchuk coming off of a red shirt, Saeed Pridgett coming back as a first-team All-League guy. Those are four guys that are all kind of slashing forwards. Mm-hmm. And then you think about the wings, and you still have Kendall Manuel, you still have Donovan Dorsey, so you're pretty good there. And you think about point guards, you have Timmy Falls, and that's all. So to me, this is more than anything not to take Timmy Falls' spot, but to create a competition at that spot. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's a win-win situation where if this guy comes in and beats out Timmy Falls, then he's obviously really good. And if he doesn't, he can provide depth for behind Timmy Falls. Because you just need an extra ball handler. And I think that Montana, there's some stuff that just goes so underrated because we can talk about all the stats and all this other stuff. We've talked about this extensively on this show. Ahmad Rory's physical conditioning was outstanding, outrageous, honestly, to be frank.
Frustrating is how I classify it. Annoying.
Ahmad basically had the same substitution patterns for 2 full seasons. He never got in foul trouble. He never really had a matchup that overexerted him to the point where he had to come out. He would just come out at the under 8 minute, at either the under 8 or under 4 media time out in the first half, and then one other time in the second half, and that was all. And that was all the rest he needed. He could just give you 36 minutes a game every single night. And so Montana didn't necessarily always need an extra ball handler. They had a couple, though, with Timmy Falls and Michael Ogine, and now they only have the one guy who I think is a true primary ball handler. So this is a good addition just in terms of depth.
It will be also interesting to me this coming season, and again, we'll see, what Hardnett is as a ball handler, as a point guard. But one of the things we talked about a lot, but I understand that, for fans out there, sometimes it's not the most obvious thing to see, but we talked about the pace that Ahmad Rory played with. And part of that pace was his ability to be completely and utterly calm and unshakable regardless of the defensive pressure. It seemed at times like he would bring the ball up against a full court press, even a trapping press double team, with the same speed and sort of the same vision of his own teammates.
Almost like the defense wasn't there, right?
They just dropped into a half court and he just walked the thing up across half court. That is such a rare skill to be able to do that. And Timmy Falls has a ton of flash. He's a fun player to watch. He's a hated player to watch for people that are not part of the University of Montana fan base. He is a very good ball handler. He's an elite passer. He's very quick. He does a lot of things, but he is prone to turning it over because sometimes he can get going a little too fast for his own good at times, and also he has not been the primary ball handler yet in at the Big Sky level. And I am interested to see how he reacts when he faces some of the pressure that Ahmad Rory reacts. And I don't think he's going to react as well. And I say that because I don't think anyone could react as well as Ahmad Rory, which is to say he didn't really react at all. He just did what he did because he was that good with the handle, that good with his positioning, and rarely turned the thing over. If Timmy Falls becomes your number one point guard, ball handling point guard, ball dominant guy, there's going to be a higher quotient of turnovers, it seems to me, in in the games than there has been. And again, maybe that's not an indictment. Maybe that's a tip of the cap to the group that just left. But to have another guy and see if maybe he's more of the sort of even, if I might say, point guard, that'll be interesting to see.
Changing point guards is sometimes like changing quarterbacks, right? And Montana's going to have to decide. I mean, if Timmy Falls is the guy to be the head of the snake, so to speak, next year, they're going to have to decide what they want to do. Because I agree with what you're saying. I think he is a little bit more volatile, a little bit more prone to turn the ball over. But Ahmad Rory never had 10 assists in a game. He's great at controlling the tempo. He got a lot of hockey assists.
That's a good point.
But if you let Timmy Falls be the dude, he might get you 10 assists. Yeah. He might turn the ball over 4 or 5 times, but he could get you 10 or 12 assists. If you really let him have the ball.
Let him go, yeah.
North Dakota went through this a couple years back. North Dakota was playing – Quentin Hooker was a combo guard who I always thought was better playing off the ball, and he proved that by winning the Big Sky Tournament MVP when North Dakota went to the NCAA tournament 3 years ago. But the number one reason Quentin Hooker could play off the ball is they landed Gino Crandall, who then ended up ending his career at Gonzaga.
Right.
Gino Crandall, to me, is kind of he's like the 6'2" version of Timmy Falls in the fact that if you make him the dude who's going to get you in and out of your stuff, you have to live with a little bit of the volatility, because Gino Crandall, baseline to baseline, was the fastest player I've seen in the Big Sky Conference. I mean, he slaps glass when he's a one-man fast break, and sometimes he might get you on that one-man fast break, throw it to the guy in the corner, goes in the stands. All right, but he's going to go be a dog on defense and get in you, just like Timmy Falls does too. Sometimes it's a give and take like that, and I think you just have to make the decision. And that is going to be an interesting transition for the Grizzlies, because they have had this absolutely steady, unshakable guy being the quarterback of their team in Ahmad Rory for 3 straight years. And as we know, one of Travis DeCuire's greatest strengths, but also one of his absolute demands, is the structure in which he likes to play with on both sides of the ball. So having an improvisational type guy who will drive you crazy but will also light Dahlberg Arena on fire from time to time, I think you have to make the decision. And if you do, you have to empower this guy.
And that's exactly right. You can't take a guy like Timmy Falls and try and put him in a box. You have to let him be who he is.
100%.
Because that's the only way he's going to be successful. Now, this is going back a little while, but when Montana played North Dakota 2 years ago, it was one of the biggest margins of victory ever. It was like 109-70 or something like this.
Right.
And
because Gino was pushing the pace, of Montana ran him straight in the ground.
Ran him into the ground. And Montana's up 30 with 10 minutes to go, 8 minutes to go. And the starters are still in, and at some point you're going, well, you're going to call off the dogs, or how's this going to go? And sure enough, the Ahmad Rory takes a seat. Michael Ogini takes a seat. They're out 2 minutes. Montana gives up 5 points, 7 points, whatever it is. By the way, the game is not in doubt. Still a 25-point game. Timeout, all the starters back in. And you go, well, it's a long season. You got a chance to rest your guys. You got a chance. Why wouldn't you? And so we asked Travis DeCuire about this after that game. Coach, why do you want to have guys in, maybe risk injury, whatever it is, in a time where they could get some rest? He's like, clearly the people that were in there when they wasn't these guys were not prepared to be in there.
Right.
It wasn't about him being worried about losing a lead or anything like that. It's about the level that he demands the guys play with. And if you're not going to play at that level, it doesn't matter if it's a 100-point game. You're not playing in that game, period. But he also had the great luxury of having a group that could do almost exactly what he wanted them to do most of the time. And now it will be a big question mark whether that still exists. Even though, again, from that point to this, the guys that are going to be playing big minutes this forthcoming year have come certainly a long, long ways.
Sure.
So, but you don't, the Ahmad Rory 2.0 is not likely the next man up for the University of Montana or for any of these schools.
Well, no doubt. And I think that there is a gap in the Grizz roster in the next coming of a true big man, unless Mac Anderson becomes that guy, which I definitely think he has the potential to be that guy. But they have lost several classes worth and guys that had a lot of potential from
from Bräunig to Jamar to
and then when Carl Nicholas leaves, that leaves a big gap in your roster.
Right.
When Lars Espy leaves, Lars Espy was supposed to be the guy who was a sophomore getting 10 to 12 minutes a game last year, just spelling Ahmad Rory or just being a ball handler next to Timmy Falls. And when he leaves, then you have a gap in that class too. So to me, more than anything, I don't know if Hardnett is going to be, I don't know what level of impact he's going to make, but it's a good move to make because you need to have that second guy who can get you in and out of your stuff.
Quick break.
One more thing worth noting. Kyle Hansen of Missoulian reporting that Australians Josh Bannon and Hunter Clark are both expected to sign with Montana for the class of 2020. So I guess those are guys that are committing now that will sign in the fall. So that's kind of how a lot of times the spring AAU ball is going on around the world right now, not just in America. Club ball is going on right now. And all the coaches, when the Twitter, sometimes it tags where you're at. A lot of these coaches are tweeting, and you can see there was a big AAU tournament in Texas, for example. There's a big AAU tournament in Denver. And so there's recruiting going on all around the place. But Kyle Hansen of the Missoulian reporting that Josh Bannon and Hunter Clark, both from Australia, are committing to Montana and that they will sign in the next fall for the next class. And Hunter Clark, he is the younger brother of Grizz graduate assistant Anderson Clark. Right. So that's the connection there. Montana's definitely had varying levels of success with guys from Australia. Fabian Krizlovic, excellent. Jack Lopez, solid. Ben Carter, a little bit lackluster. So I think that, but it's a good pipeline to keep open because there's great basketball down there, and a lot of times you can get guys that are a little bit higher than a low to mid-major type talent, especially the big guys. So we'll see how these guys are, but busy day, Grizz Hoops.
No doubt. Okay, quick break, and then some NBA stuff. Portland, even their series with Denver, so we got to get into that. But Coulter, before we do, we got to make somebody happy. Alpine Touch is Montana's special spice. It is maybe the greatest spice ever invented, and we have some of it to give away. You want to show them the deal, Coulter? You want to put them up on the deal? A Grand Slam package, and get yourself some barbecue sauce. What are you pulling out of the Happy Hut over there?
Switching it up a little bit.
Okay.
Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Looks
Prairie
tasty.
Fire Rub. You got the original with the sea salt. You got the pepper blend. Got the hickory smoked. And they're all the big jars,
That's
too.
the big one. Yep.
You can get this, $19.99, any retail location around the state. So check this out if you don't win. But if you do win right now, 329-1899. We got some country-style barbecue sauce and the Grand Slam package for you. Give us a call right now, 329-1899. Get your name, phone number, and address to Tommy, and we will have the boys at Alpine Touch send this right to your front door. Alpine Touch, Montana's special spice.
No matter how far you may go, there's always one just down the road. Town Pump, who pump it up, pump it up.
You know you need a pick-me-up, and Town Pump has just the thing. Make a quick stop at Town Pump today and grab 3 12-ounce Red Bulls for only $7. Or get any size fountain drink for only $1. Town Pump Food Stores, proud to be part of our community.
Town Pump, right down the road, pump it up, oh yeah.
Hey folks, the best season of the year is upon us. That's right, it's tax return season, and there's one place to have the most fun and make that refund check stretch further than anywhere else, Selway Armory. Selway Armory has the largest selection of firearms, ammo, and accessories of anywhere around, and they have the expertise to go with it. It's not everywhere that you can shop local and save money, but Selway Armory will meet or beat any box store price, and your money stays in Montana. It's tax return time, so get more bang for your buck at Selway Armory. Visit online at selwayarmory.com. CanyonRiverGolf.com. Canyon River Golf Club is a must for any golfer in western Montana. Tucked away in a spectacular setting along the Clark Fork River in East Missoula, Canyon River offers one of Montana's best championship golf experiences. And Canyon River is happy to announce their new fleet of golf carts, which include the Shark Experience, an interactive GPS giving dynamic distances and touchscreen interaction to help you play your best. Plus, with Bluetooth, radio, and surround sound, you can enjoy yourself between holes too. Book online at CanyonRiverGolfClub.com. Missoula's best golf, Canyon River.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
Hey there, Colter Nuanez from Tootell, Nuanez 1029 ESPN Missoula, here with Tom from Aspen Sound. Tom got me a great deal on an automatic car starter this winter. Now it's summer. What sort of stuff you guys got going on down there, Tom?
Well, Colter, coming into the summertime, we're picking up on the window tinting front. So if you need your windows tinted, give us a call. We'll get you scheduled up. Boats and ATVs are starting to come in full swing, and we're also starting to see the hot rods come out to play. Anything audio related, let us know. We'll get you taken care of.
Feel the music at Aspen Sound.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter, Brooklyn, was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colter Nuanez, 1029 ESPN Sports Center. Missoula Sentinel senior Jace DeWalt was set to play for Chuck Morrell. Instead, the wide receiver flipped his college commitment from Montana Tech to the University of Montana football team Wednesday night. The 5'11", 170-pound multi-sport standout announced on Twitter that he will join the Grizzlies as a preferred walk-on. DeWalt previously signed with Tech, but NAIA national letters of intent are not binding. DeWalt earned second-team All-State honors as a defensive back and second-team All-Conference honors as a wide receiver last season. He's also a standout hurdler for the Sentinel boys track team.
Bozeman High product Annika Danhauer, the Class AA state champion last season, signed with Montana State. Head coach Brittany Basie announced on Wednesday. Last season, Danhauer shot a 154 over 2 rounds at the Butte Country Club to claim the state title and lead the Hawks to their team title by a whopping 47 strokes.
She was close.
She was part of 3 different Class AA state championship teams during her high school career in Bozeman.
Laurel distance runner Levi Taylor took down a hallowed school record at the Midland Roundtable Top 10 meet on his home track Tuesday. The two-time defending state cross-country champion broke Patrick Casey's school record in the 1,600 meters with a blazing personal best time of 4 minutes, 17.29 seconds, beating Casey's record that stood for more than a decade by over 2 seconds. Even it up with the Denver Nuggets and a 97-90 win in Denver last night. Series just back to Northwest Oregon for Game 3. It is Tootell Nuanez, 1029 ESPN Radio. Broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris Studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy. Online at kurtzpolaris.com. You can find us on Twitter. You should. At Gus Tootell at 1029 ESPN and at Skyline Sports MT. Colter, going into Game 2 of the Denver-Portland series, Damian Lillard had 39 in Game 1. It was a tie ball game or maybe a 2-point game at halftime. Denver got about a 9-point lead, and that lead just stayed at between 6 and 12 points for the rest of the game and ended a 9-point game in Game 1 with Damian Lillard playing a great game, and you thought, well, if Lillard plays like this, even though some other guys didn't play as well, and Aminu actually played a terrible game from an offensive standpoint, this is going to be tough for the Portland Trailblazers. And Terry Stotts and that staff, they got work to do. They got to go back to the drawing board and figure out what their answer is going to be specifically for Jokic. And guess what? They did it. They went back, and they got a big lead, and Denver tried to work their way back into that thing last night. But ultimately, Portland was able to hold them off and get a 97-90 victory to even the series at a game. And by the way, Damian Lillard didn't play well last night offensively. 1 of 7 from beyond the arc, 5 of 17, 14 points. C.J. McCollum led the Trailblazers with 20, and Rodney Hood off the bench contributed 15. So Rodney Hood was pretty good last night as well. But really where they got it done was defensively. I mean, they held the Denver Nuggets to 90 points, 20% from beyond the arc, and under 35% from the field. So an excellent job defensively in the main for Portland, and that's the way they got it done. But the irony that Lillard would play great and they would lose, and then he would play very average, subpar basketball game with, by the way, Randy Ray, the head coach of the Weber State Wildcats and Lillard's former head coach, in attendance down there in Denver at the Pepsi Center, and goes out, does not have a great showing. Obviously, he felt the pressure of Randy Ray being there. You know what I mean? You want to perform for the guy. That's probably what happened. Anyhow, they go out and they get the thing done, and I thought it was a very good performance, a great answer, a necessary answer from Portland. And this is an exciting series now, man. This looks like it could go back and forth because, unlike the Milwaukee Boston series, which by the way also looks like it could be great, both those games have been 20, 25-point games. You got 2 single-digit games here, 9.7 points, one going each way. So it gets back to the Moda Center. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to this series now.
Should I start with the good or the bad? Let's start with. I thought Terry Stotts made the correct adjustments. I thought that was the key to Portland building a 15-point first-half lead. I thought the number one key adjustment, Myers Leonard is an incredibly physically gifted player. He has some great skills. He has a tremendous skill set. He got paid way more than he deserves for his potential. He's also still rounded into shape. I think he has great motor. He's a good try-hard guy. What he brings to the table is the absolute worst thing to go against Nikolai Jokic. Because Jokic, it's not about being big, strong, or athletic. It's all about pace. And Myers Leonard is so hyperactive and so he thrives off of going harder than you. And that's the worst thing ever against Jokic, because Jokic will just plod and back you down and get you off your feet.
He's a sumo wrestler.
And he'll just score on you over and over and over. I mean, that's like his dream matchup is going against Myers Leonard.
You want to go here really hard, and I'll go right.
And so I thought that the proper adjustment was, number one, playing Zach Collins a lot more minutes last night.
17 minutes and 5 personal fouls. He was basically out there as much as he could be.
Yeah, and I thought that was a good adjustment. I also thought that they got Enes Kanter going last night. Enes Kanter looked like way less of a liability on defense than at any time I have ever watched him in the NBA.
He had a couple straight rips on Jokic.
He did. And we have watched 2 of these games together. And what was I telling you when we were at the still room the other night? I was telling you, just watch Kanter. And sometimes his head, he just looks like he's 2 steps behind or he's 2 steps ahead. He's like too hyperactive. He's anticipating too much.
Yeah.
And then guys just go by him. Last night he played with good pace, good focus. He was just keeping everybody in front of him. That makes a huge difference. So credit to Terry Stotts for making the great adjustments.
Myers Leonard, by the way, DMP, coach's decision.
Right.
Didn't even step onto the floor.
Totally. And credit to the Blazers for overcoming a bad shooting night by Damian Lillard. Credit to Rodney Hood for having a third, at least in my watching of the Blazers so far, that was the 3rd game that Rodney Hood has had in the playoffs that has been great. Good boost for the Blazers. So there's all the good. I also thought that Portland got incredibly fortunate last night in the fact that the Blazers couldn't hit the broadside of the barn shooting threes. I thought the Blazers, the Nuggets, excuse me, the Nuggets,
6 of 29, 20.7%. Yeah.
And I thought that they got multiple makeable looks too. And the thing about them is, they don't shoot the crazy amount of threes like the Rockets or the Warriors. So I think maybe the importance of their three-point shooting is a little bit underrated. Mm-hmm. But I think it's as important for them as any team in the playoffs because the way that they operate their half-court offense through Jokic is it's going to lead to this variety of players getting open looks. They don't have the James Harden, Eric Gordon, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson guys, but they need Gary Harris to hit two and Jamal Murray to hit two and Will Barton to hit two. They need all those guys to step up and hit a couple. And when you got Jamal Murray going 2 of 8, I know he was nursing an injury last night as well, but that hurts you. Yep. When you have the Beasley going 2 of 6 and Morris going 0 of 3. I mean, those are the only looks those guys are getting, and they're off of the passes from Jokic. And if you miss those looks, it's just going to hurt you. But also the Nuggets, they were out hustling the Blazers. I mean, they had 15 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter.
It's insane.
And they still couldn't cut the gap.
Right.
So again, you give and take here, right? I do think that the Blazers deserve all the credit in the world for stealing game 2. Like Damian Lillard said in his press conference last night, he said, for me to play like I played tonight, not good. And for us to steal a game on the road, they say that a playoff series does not start till a team wins on the road. We started this playoff series with me not playing well. That's a huge testament to the Blazers. But on the other hand, the Blazers also should feel fortunate that the Nuggets weren't shooting the ball well.
There was a possession in the fourth quarter, Coulter, where the Nuggets had 4 offensive opportunities in the same possession, including 2 free throws. It was a shot, a miss, with a rebound, a shot, a miss with a rebound, a shot which was missed but fouled, missed both free throws, got the rebound offensively off of the missed free throws, and missed yet another shot. They had the ball for no less than 65, 70 seconds, and had free throws, and came away with 0 points. That is... you're living on the right side if you're the Portland Trail Blazers in that scenario, because that doesn't happen, especially in the NBA like that. If you can't go in there and secure a rebound and the guys are missing free throws now, I mean that is something else. So you are right. It's a twofold thing, and both of these teams can leave this game and go. They can spin their own narrative, right? They can give you their own story about why this is, arrow pointed up for the Blazers and arrow pointed okay for the Nuggets. Obviously, a loss is never going to, not going to be pointing up particularly, but you go, yeah, we're not going to go 6 of 29 from beyond the arc again in this series. So we're going to be fine. Thank you very much. And maybe that's true. How much, let's do this. We're up against it. Got to get it out. Okay, quick break. I will ask you, how much do you think the change of venue will influence this particular series to go back to Portland, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. Next, however, we got to get into Jace DeWalt, a